Aloha, this is Jessica Smith reporting on the Control Revolution that we've been reading. I'm a little bit late, but that's okay because I've enjoyed our discussions on it in class and being able to understand what the author was trying to say just a little bit more. Excuse me. But he starts out talking about the Industrial Revolution and a lot of the changes that have been made because of that in our daily lives. But something that he mentions that not a lot of people really think about is about the control revolution that happened at the same time. The increase in control, the increase in bureaucracies, and the increase in communication technology are just some of the things that he focuses on. When he talks about the Industrial Revolution and the Control Revolution, he talks about how they go hand in hand. You can't really have one without the other, because when you increase your ability to manufacture things, you're also increasing, you have to be able to increase the ability to distribute these things that you're manufacturing. You have to increase your ability to travel, you have to increase your ability to make sure that everything gets where it's supposed to go on time. And so there needs to be greater communication, a greater increase in handling these new things that are being manufactured and being handled and processed. And just like the goods that are being manufactured and processed, so does information need to be processed. Like if it was traveling, these goods, like if we'll say shoes have been made and they're traveling down the train tracks, you need to make sure that they're going to get where they're going. And so there's a crisis in communication, that things were just getting lost. Like all of these things were just going kind of to wasting all this energy that they had been working so hard on improving and making more precise. So there was this control crisis he talks about, and being able to communicate where things are going and how things are going to be managed and handled and controlled. There needed to be an increase in all of that as well. And as a result of that, there became kind of a control over people as well, because of the increase in communication. People were able to process information going back and forth, and being able to find out what people were doing, how it was being done, and being able to make sure that everything is done properly right. It's very concise and very consistent and very predictable, was something that was mentioned. I'm not sure if it was in this reading or another reading, but that it becomes precise and predictable, just like a machine. And so yeah, this processing, he talks about energy processing versus information processing, and being able to they kind of have to go hand in hand in order to have something running efficiently, in order to have these businesses and corporations running the way that they should. He talked about how it was kind of small subtle changes. They're very hard to notice, but that it occurred over the course of time quite rapidly, just as did the Industrial Revolution, but because it wasn't something that people could see as well, that information was being handled and processed, as well as control, that it wasn't as focused on and how it has affected our lives today. It was able to increase the centrality of control on like bureaucracies, or for example the government, being able to communicate on an expanding country that spans the entire continent, being able to centralize that control because their ideas and are being communicated and connected with such great distances. It kind of brought back a centrality of control amongst the government as well, and seeing how that control is kind of leaked into our businesses today, our corporations today, and how that control is still being there. We've talked about it in class, the creativity versus consistency, and being able to hopefully being able to balance. But he didn't really talk about that a whole lot in this article, but it is something that I would hope he would talk about in other places in his book, because I think it is something that needs to be addressed. And so that was my thoughts on that reading.